Greetings and salutations, fellow collectors of plastic things. Last week, in part 1 of this series, we took a look at Dark of the Moon Leader Class Bumblebee. Today, we're going to be checking out Ironhide, and next week, we'll end this series with Leader Class Sentinel Prime. Also, next week, we're going to take a quick look at some of the variations of these figures in the Dark of the Moon line. There were a lot of crazy ones, as well as doing some size comparisons with other figures of the time. So stick around for that, but for now, enjoy this review of Ironhide. Okay, so now before we talk about our beloved Ironhide, first we're going to quickly get him into robot mode from his alt mode. So again, going to try to go through this quickly, and with this Ironhide, things are definitely going to fall apart along the way. It's just kind of how it works, and some of it is a little unwieldy, but especially if you try to go fast, which I'm trying to do. So I'm hindering myself in a way by doing that, but anyway, we're going to try our best. And I think most of you know, especially with more complex figures, you tend to just try to focus on doing things backwards from, if you know one mode pretty well, the other mode you just kind of work backwards. What's the last thing I did? That'll be the first thing I do, that sort of thing. But anyway, the legs are fairly simple, and it may be the weakest part of Ironhide, not just for stability and things like that, but maybe their size and how they sort of work at helping them stand up, and the color. I think a lot of people don't like the lighter blue there. I actually don't mind it, but that can be an issue. But once that's done, we have the legs pretty much done. We can start pulling the arms out, and we just want to make sure things are out of the way that need to be out of the way. And again, I'm mostly going on memory of this, so order of operations will not be exactly right. Going from alt mode to robot mode, especially with figures like this, is usually easier because it's kind of just spreading things back out again. But now Ironhide has a real issue here with the ball joints that make up these chest pieces on him, and so that can be a little tricky. The first thing I think I need to do is get the middle part of the hood up and back and out of the way, and these will absolutely come off unless I'll try to do it without them coming off, but they're almost certainly going to come off. And in fact, that's fine, it did. But what that lets me do is go ahead and tab the wheel in before I put it back on. And it's just this big nasty ball joint. It's just not the best. But we'll snap that back on, and this will click in pretty nicely and securely once it's there. Press it into place, and we're good to go. And I'm going to fold that back out of the way. So it's one of those things. I would rather this piece fall off easily than, break. I think it's Voyager size Ironhides from Dark of the Moon. I've had a real problem with arms breaking. I actually have like 3 of them, and I've had a problem with arms breaking on them. So I'm kind of happy that these don't do that. And I'm also amazed I was able to even do one of these without it flying off. So that's a win. So anyway, now we can work on the arms, kind of swing them around a bit. I think this way, and this piece will tab up here pretty solidly. Again, one thing you have to hand to these figures is they all have nice solid tabs. Again, over here, twist the arm around, get that, tab it in nicely. I think we want these to, I guess they can sit there. That's probably fine. I might have to double check that, but. So then we can fold these panels down, and the arms are incredibly kibbly on Ironhide. Kind of for good reason. There are some fun gimmicks there that we'll look at in a bit, but regardless, he's definitely not as clean as the Bumblebee figure, or really Sentinel Prime, although Sentinel Prime has his own kibble problems too. And then the back, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, things can just kind of fold up. And I think that's pretty much accurate. I'll double check that before we do the posing. But anyway, for the most part, get his feet kind of locked in. And this is loose on mine. It's always going to do that. This one I actually bought secondhand and not in the box. So he's come used and well used, but still pretty solid. And there we go. That's him standing for now. But anyway, that's the transformation process. And we'll quickly review the robot mode before showing a more thorough transformation back into alt mode. Okay, now looking at his robot mode, it felt like the easiest way to do this would just be to go handheld with it. So that's what we're going to do while we look at this massive, glorious Ironhide. Now just looking at him standing here, he is freestanding and does a pretty good job of it. He does have, as do kind of all three figures, possibly, well, he has weak hips that can be a problem if the weight goes too far forward or backwards. The hips can get loose on you, so you might have to mess with that a bit. You also might have to play around with the ankles a bit to make him stand solidly, but he will stand. And on a scale of stability, he's definitely right in the middle. I think Bumblebee is the most stable, and then Ironhide, and then you'll see in a few minutes, Sentinel Prime really has the most problems. But otherwise, posing him, he's probably the least posable. He's kind of locked into this Arnold Schwarzenegger sort of Mr. Olympia pose. He can't really do much beside that. The arms are kind of locked into place. We'll show what articulation we have here in a minute. This is pretty much the pose you're going to get out of him, and it's not bad, and he does look pretty impressive. There's a lot of kibble on the arms that just kind of tucks away right there, and he has the cannons and guns and all that stuff on the side that adds to the kibble, but also adds to the fun. Swing around to the back here, you can see the back kibble is not as bad. I mean, he slims out a bit. You've got the windshields and stuff tucked away pretty nicely, so it's not the worst, but it could be a bit better. But again, from the front, personally, I just absolutely love this figure. I think he's a really good representation of movie Ironhide, and I just think he looks great. Now, taking a closer look at all the detailing, there's a lot of it. This mode is really impressive, and the colors are really good too. When you pull back and you think he's pretty dark and black, there's actually a lot more contrast here. You can see all the great sculpting work done in the legs. You got the little touch of gold paint down there and the blue, which again, I know some people might like that more than others, but I don't mind the blue at all. I think it looks pretty cool, even if it's not super movie accurate. Moving into the waist, you got the Autobot symbol right there. You've got the chest, and I just really love how well the front of the car hooks in here solidly and the tires tuck away. They did a great job with that. And this face sculpt, some people, when I posted this earlier, had a problem with this mask and didn't like it, but it is, of course, just a mask, and if you come in close, so that's more of a gimmick than anything. His real face is underneath there, and I don't know if I love the mode, but it's also not the worst. But that is, in fact, a mask on him that does come down when he's talking. And yeah, I love the look of the tires. I love the sculpt. They look really cool. They are plasticky. I wish they were rubber. And again, the arms, the detailing, the fists are kind of locked, clenched, but ready for those Mechtech weapons. Otherwise, he's just a really impressive figure. He is very ratchety, which is good. The legs can come forward almost 90 degrees, and they start to hit this back here when they come backwards. He doesn't really have a knee joint. He has this ankle joint that can come forward as part of the transformation and go back. He has a little bit of tilt. It's not a lot, but it is there. Then he has the joint up here. So it's kind of like he has a split thigh, which kind of reminds me of Red Alert, and then the ankle joint. So not really knees, so to speak. The waist has no swivel. The arms, like I say, the way they're locked in, there's just not a lot of space to do much with them. So you can bring him forward a bit and kind of bring his fist closer to his chest or swing his arm wide, but you can't really bring it too much farther forward, which is kind of a bummer. The head, the mask comes off, but there is, I don't think, any articulation at all. It's kind of locked into place there. So not much articulation on the head. There's no wrist swivel. Again, if there's one major drawback, I know for a lot of folks, it's going to be the lack of posability and the lack of articulation. For me, that's totally fine. I definitely prefer his alt mode to the robot mode. That's probably where he really shines. And one more time, let's focus specifically on the gimmicks that make this thing so fun. Of course, he does speak, and he does have the face mask that moves when he speaks. And if we look closer, his eyes do glow green when he's talking. He has guns that'll pop out of either of his forearms. This one on the right arm is particularly cool. And of course, he has that knife that slides out of the left leg. And on the right, he has another gun that pops out, which I believe probably had a pew-pew, but I bought it used, so I don't have the pew-pew, unfortunately. And now it's transformation time. And by the way, I'm going fully by the book on this one. I checked out the instructions and I'm going step by step using the instructions. So what you're seeing is, for the most part, the order of operations the instructions suggest. So you can already see we've popped up the hood a bit and we've moved the backpack down. We're going to open the sides panels here and kind of just start straightening things out. And then you can just watch, we're kind of bringing the arms back a little bit, and we're going to start working on those arm panels. It's interesting, the book has you do most of the upper part of the body before even messing with the legs. And after I did it, it kind of made sense to me and I understood why. So we're going to fold out the arms a little bit. We're going to pull out the back panels, well, the side panels, and kind of get all that lined up and out of the way for now. But that's how we're going to start this thing out. And then we're just going to disconnect the arms from either side, pulling away from those very tight tabs and just moving them down and out of the way so it should look like this. And then just drop the windshield further out of the way, and we can start working more on those door panels, sliding them out and straightening everything out. I'm going to do this on either side. Again, this seemed kind of weird to me at first, but the arms are probably the strangest part of this transformation, so it makes sense to get them done when you get them done. And now we're just going to twist the arms around and start getting them into place. And this really is the trickiest part of the transformation. And so if you do it now and you make it look like it looks like where I'm doing it, things are going to be a lot easier. Everything doesn't have to pop into place right away, but you want to get those arms tucked in just like that. Get that flap closed. Hopefully yours isn't as loose as mine. But just get the arms nestled into place and leave them there for now. Now we have to deal with these terrible panels that are going to pop off on you just like this here. But anyway, that's fine. You want to straighten out the tires, get the panels pop back on when they come off, and you'll be fine. And now you want to lift them up because eventually they're going to form the hood of the car. So we just want to get them situated like this for now with the tires pushed out and tabbed into place, and you're in good shape to move on. And we move on by now switching back to the door panels and starting to put everything into place. Everything here is going to tab in really well. You just kind of have to straighten it up and get everything in the right spot, and things will start to come together. I promise. That's the beauty of all three of these figures. Notice the panel will pop off again on me, but it's like a puzzle that goes together so easily. You just kind of have to press it in like that and then push the panel down. And again, doing it now with the legs out of the way is really helpful, I promise you. So put the panel down on the other side. You'll start to tuck it into the front of the car. Make sure the arms are nestled in really well, and things will start to tab into place. And since my tire has popped off again on the front, it's a good time to show you, and I'm glad I filmed this up close. When you do connect the tires, there's a tab right there. You can see there's a tab and a tab slot. It's very important once you have the tires in place that you press them into that tab slot, and they will click satisfactorily. And once those are in there, that's really going to hold that whole section into place. So this is an important step. Just make sure when you put the tires in, and it might be a little bit of a struggle like I had here even filming it, but make sure those get locked into those tabs, and that's going to hold the tires in place. They're not going to look bowed or anything, and it's going to help the whole front end of the truck look better. But now we have to go backwards to finish the transformation. With the tires locked into place, you can now work on getting those panels in correctly on either side once you have the arms in. And here's another very important thick tab. This tab will go into this tab slot when you press the arms in, and that's going to lock those into place as well. And once those are both snugly into their tab slots, that's going to make everything else a lot easier. So make sure you press them in at this point if you haven't done so already. And now, while holding the side panels in place, just to keep them kind of close, we're going to push the windshield over the front of the cab and lock that into place. This is about the trickiest part because you have to kind of push up on either side and kind of push down on this little bit to get those into place. But once that's finally in place, you can proceed to kind of push the windshield into place. Again, there are tabs that are going to go under the front of the hood, and everything is going to ultimately snap into place really well. You just kind of have to move around the truck, squeezing and pinching a bit just to get it locked in. But once it's fully locked in, again, it just looks really good. And now lastly, we can start working on the legs. You have to twist them around backwards at the knee and just kind of fold them forward, one leg at a time just like the other, and this is going to form the back of the cab of the truck. This is probably the simplest part of the process. You just got to get those tabs lined up and push that together. And by the way, because I've been transforming things wrong since 1984, there is a step I have missed so far, and I wonder if you've noticed that yet, because I'm struggling here for a minute to try and figure out why this won't just push up into place like it normally does. It usually just pops right into place, but there's a problem. And that problem is this extra panel under the truck that I forgot to fold out. Hey, we keep it real here, right? This isn't some perfectly edited, beautiful video trying to show you the struggle, but also trying to show you how awesome these figures are. So I'm leaving it in. But once that's folded out, then notice how much better this thing pushes into place and everything tabs in just perfectly. And with all that finally done, oh my God, how beautiful is this truck? This thing has become so iconic. I think you have to go full masterpiece to do any better than this Ironhide right here. This truck just looks incredible, even with my wonky tire right there. Just look at this fully licensed GMC top kick sexy ass vehicle. And of course the gimmicks are still here and they're super fun. Honestly, who's really gonna mess with Ironhide when he's rocking this kind of weaponry? I mean, seriously, nobody wants to take this guy on. There's simply not a bad guy I can think of who would dare go toe-to-toe with Ironhide. Well, I guess maybe one.